Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are currently getting ready to bring this in for its final landing, and hopefully the lack of numbers up here for Delta V is not a problem. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. We could activate this and test it, but I kind of don't want to. We'll find out. It'll be interesting for sure. So one thing we do want to do is we want to extend these out to their maximum extension, because we're going to need them fully extended. I didn't set up an action group for this one, and I don't remember how we did it last time, so we'll just do it this way. There's only 4 of them, and that shouldn't be too bad, in theory. So we'll get that set up, and at this point we're going to be heading around, so we need to warp around to here. We have to take an orbit. And we'll see how that timing is looking, although it's looking like we may have to switch up the timing a little bit. I think we're going to have to delay this burn slightly to hit this a little bit more precisely. So we currently have that set as our target, so I'm going to take us into target mode here. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to delay this burn a little bit. That's fine. So let's set Duna as our target, and let's just move this on over to about here or so this time. So let's go ahead and warp here. It's getting better. This burn is going to be in about 18, 17, 16. Okay, that seems reasonably fine. I'm just going to delay it by a couple of seconds here. There we go. 12, 11, 10, 9. I'm going to try retracting this antenna quick. We still have good comms. Okay, 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. So engine is lit, and we are going to retract these solar panels. We don't really want them extended while we go down through the atmosphere. So that looks good. Why are we viewing this as 0.0 meters per second of relative speed? I don't know. We're going to set this as our target. Our target was apparently cleared. Sure. That was weird. So that seems fine. We can now see where our target is, and we're coming in approximately the correct angle. But we'll see how this ends up feeling. Now, I want to immediately come over here, and I'm going to pin open this docking port and this docking port, because our actuation of getting rid of this is not through the staging system, because those are docked on. We probably should have done it through decouplers in retrospect, but this'll do. We could have done both of these through decouplers, to be clear. So that would have been fine. Both gantries could have been done that way, and I kind of wish we had, but that's neither here nor there. So for right now, we're just happily cruising on along here, losing altitude. And we mostly just want to get our horizontal speed just gone. Our target cleared on us again? Okay. That's awkward. Well, for the time being, this is reasonably fine. We're just trying to get rid of horizontal speed so that we drop relatively straight down on the target. It doesn't have to be tremendously close. We will be able to wheel our way over to the target in theory. We just have to be pretty close. And we've got another roughly 500 meters per second to carve off here. So we've got a lot of fuel in these tanks, and for the moment, we're just going to burn all of this fuel off most likely, although that's going to be overshooty a little bit. We're not going to burn it all off in this burn, but it's going to be very, very close. So we're still moving at about 400 meters per second relative to the target, and that's absolutely understood. You can see target retrograde has come off of the horizon, and I want us to just be at horizontal velocity minus at this point. So that looks good, and we want to just keep on burning here. We're probably going to undershoot this a little bit, aren't we? Yeah, I think we are. So we're probably going to burn off all of this fuel to start heading back this direction a little bit. That'll be a good thing to do. So we've got about 250 meters per second left in this maneuver, but I'm just going to get rid of the maneuver marker right now. We don't really need it. We just want to be on surface velocity minus for the time being. And yeah, we've still got another 230 meters per second of relative speed here, but we don't know how much of that is horizontal and how much of that is vertical. So that is definitely something to note. So let's keep an eye on the fuel in this tank. Once these two tanks are out of fuel, we're definitely jettisoning them. And that's the next staging event here. So that looks good. After that, we'll have to undock these Clampatron docking ports to get rid of the whole gantry. What's our thrust to weight? 1.75. Noted. You can see that our speed is going up, and we're now turning. So that seems fine. I'm going to just park us here for now. I want to take us over to target velocity minus is where I want to be at this moment. So we're going to start flipping towards target velocity minus. We are in the atmosphere at this moment. And we've got a little bit of fuel left over here, which I'm going to use to do some steering, hopefully. Okay. So I want to have maximum gimbal at this time. And we're just working on doing a little bit of steering, a little bit of corrective burn here. Out over this way for now. Let's put this in kill rot for the moment. There. We're going to take this to relative velocity minus. We're probably going to need to do more corrective burn, but let's take this over to relative velocity minus, and we should be heading basically towards the target at this moment. Not exactly, but basically. I'm going to burn here and jettison these tanks, and hopefully we don't bomb the target with the tanks, but I don't think we will. Okay, I'm cutting the engines for now. Noticing our drift. Okay, I'm putting us in kill rot at this moment. And we're just doing a small corrective burn. There we go. Now we're trying to move to relative velocity minus, which should be a fairly aerodynamic place to move to, but we don't have a lot of control authority. So that's fine. We're about 20 kilometers up. So what I want to do right now is I'm thinking about jettisoning this here. I think I should. So let's go ahead and do that. We need to be pretty quick with this. This one didn't actually undock, awkwardly enough. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to fire our chutes. I'm just going to do that to break us away from here a little bit, and the chutes should hold us in position. So we're going to be a little ways away from this for sure. We can actually try to steer ourselves a little bit off over this direction. Just a little bit of a corrective burn there. Okay, so there goes those drogue chutes. They should hold us in position. Now that the chutes are out, we have very little steering capacity. So we're just going to have to wait till we get to the ground, and we'll see how close we got. Looks like we're going to be closer to the core module than we are going to be to the fuel production module, but that's okay. We'll still be pretty close to both. So the main chutes are going to fire up very soon here. In theory. There they go. And we're going to slow ourselves right on down. I want to be in kill rot, and I want to be at surface velocity minus. That's the goal here. So we're at surface velocity minus, and these chutes are open. We're coming down at about 10 meters per second. We're still pretty far up. So let's physics warp down a bit. This is very slow. The chutes are being quite effective with this payload. So that's noted. I'm just looking at our steering. It's off. So we need to invert the steering here and here. and also on this side. So steering is inverted here and here. There we go. We could even completely disable the steering in the back. That's probably for the best. Okay. Now the steering looks much better. So we're going to be coming down, looks like somewhere around 2 kilometers away from our, well, like 1.5 kilometers away from our target point. That shouldn't be too bad. So we're currently about 375 meters up. Sounds good. And we're moving pretty slowly right now. We do want to cushion this landing. And I want to put us in up instead of surface velocity minus, so that'll be fine. We shouldn't have any, well, hopefully we won't be tippy. I think our center of gravity is about here, which could be a bit problematic, but... Okay, I'm going to start slowing us down a little bit. Definitely looking good on the speed. I like it. Good. I turned on the brakes just before we landed there, although I didn't mention it. And let's see what we can do here. Can we make it uphill? I'm just going to have the smart ASS be off at this time. We're very slowly moving up the hill. I'm extending our solar panels now because we need to have a source of power. And we need to be heading out over this direction. So let's just cautiously turn out over here. This thing is a little bit tippy. Let's just smart ASS to up. Although I want this to be on SAS only. There we go. Now you can see we're starting to drift down the hill. So that means we have to take a shallower angle of attack on the hill. So I'm turning the brakes on. Okay. So we're going to have to go around over this direction. This is going to be a pretty long journey at this rate. So that's going to be exciting. We can always utilize the fuel here to essentially give ourselves a little bit of lift and boost us up the hill. And that would lower our center of gravity too, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But we can just tackle the hill in this angling, and that seems reasonably fine for now. As long as we don't get up over like 5, 7 even meters per second, it should be okay. So I'm balancing our current speed with how uphill we're going at this moment. 4.5 is pretty acceptable. We shouldn't run into any major issues at 4.5. 4.3? That said, we're about to crest this little sub-hill. And we should have a lot more power once we get linked up with the other module. So yeah, we can see we're about 1 kilometer away over here. We definitely overshot this a little bit, but it was pretty close. Definitely in the category of close enough. And keep in mind, we're not planning on, like, having this be a long-term thing. The real question is this really where we want that core module to be? I don't know. There's definitely ways that we can go about relocating it, if we choose to do so. So our surface speed is dropping as we tackle this steeper portion of this hill. In order to compensate for that, we just need to turn a little bit more downhill, like this. Heading a little bit more towards the core module, a little less towards our target of the fuel production module. Although we have traveled about 400 meters, and our speed is getting a little up there, so let's turn into the hill a little bit more. Speed is still increasing. I'm turning more into the hill. And we're now basically headed directly at our target point. Watching our speed is dropping, but we are getting very close to the top of the hill. We can now see our target. We have visual line of sight. I'm just going to keep powering through this for now. I'd rather not turn downhill because we're very, very close to the crest of this hill. That said, we're losing a lot of speed. We're gaining it again. Okay, we're good. We have crested the hill, and we're going to start going downhill for this next portion. So this is going to take us over there pretty quickly, perhaps too quickly. We may not need to be running the motors on the wheels. How are we doing on electric charge? Our electric charge is net negative right now, so that is good to know. I want to just turn us out over this way a little bit. And once we get up over 5 meters per second, I'm going to start coasting. Okay, we are now coasting. Speed is still increasing while coasting. But you can see our electric charge is recharging. So we'll just sit like this for now. We know that we will eventually start to go uphill again. So for now, we'll just be in a coast period. We'll build up a little bit of speed. We don't want to build up too much speed because that will break our wheels eventually. Okay, so we're up over 10 meters per second. I'm starting to get a little bit concerned about our speed. We're not going to be trying to turn. And we're about to start going uphill here. 12.5. 13 meters per second. We're kind of skating along the edge of this hill. We're not really going uphill. I'm going to start slowing us down a little bit. Okay, this is a problem. We're going too fast right now. I'm just turning us up the hill in order to avoid that part. And hopefully bleed off some speed. This is with our brakes on, by the way. Okay. So, we're going to have to come back around. That's our target point there. We don't want to turn too sharp here. We're moving a little faster than I want to still. So we're going to just gently ease this around. That's a little much. It's a lot much. Hang on. Hang on. We got there. Oh, that was close. That was really close. I thought for sure we were going to tip over there. That would have been very bad. We are currently... Ooh. Okay, there's that tip over that was bad. I am shocked that we were not able to bring this to a halt for that long. That was kind of nuts. So the goal right now is to bring us to up, and I'm going to try to utilize the sky crane to do that. I'm really, really shocked that it took us that long to lose speed. I'm not shocked that we couldn't really lose speed going downhill, but I'm also not shocked that we had some... Hang on. That's interesting. So this is trying to kick us in an interesting direction when utilizing the sky crane. Yeah, there's a lot of forward vectoring there and not a lot of turning us. So here's what I want to do. I want to retract this and I want to retract this to get our angle a little bit different. There we go. We did lose one of our sky crane engines on that tip over. Okay. I'm putting the smart ASS into kill rot. And then I'm just going to try to gently wiggle us over. What else can we do here? I would prefer it if we were facing the other direction. In order to get this wiggled back upright. Of course, we could just... Hang on. This is kind of working. That was too much. I hit the wrong button there. We need to bring it to a halt, but we're just gently trying to turn here. Keep in mind, we can't use this because we don't have a control on it. Okay. So we find ourselves in this position as of right now. There's probably a way that we can get this upright. And what I want to do right now is very, very gently... The main problem here is this guy, right? But that is kind of giving us good momentum. The main issue is that we don't have this engine. But here's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to shut down these engines up here. And then I'm going to also shut down this engine. We're just going to use these two engines. Okay, that's going to work. We just need to nail it. So close. We got him. Okay, we need to extend this back out and extend this back out. Then we need to get turned around here. Shocking that we got that. Okay, we need to get turned around and... What's our angling? Oh, I see. We're going this way. Gotcha. I was turned around on what direction we were. And this is because we're rolling downhill right now. We're having a hard time overpowering the gravity here. So one thing we could do is we could reactivate all of these engines. So we need to have relatively even force, except we can't have this engine activated. Okay. So now what we're doing is we're effectively lowering our mass. Nope. Okay, that's not wanting to do what I want it to do. What I want it to do, of course, is go up this hill. That would be nice. But if that's not an option, then it's not an option. We will see. You can see we're draining electric charge right now. I'm going to turn the brakes on. And our brake force is only at 50%. I'm going to turn it up to 200%. And that should, yeah, that's giving us enough brake to be able to overpower the gravitational force. So that's good. Another thing we can try is we can try cranking up the traction control and see what that ends up doing. You can see we're still slowly drifting downhill. That's absolutely understood. So let's turn up the traction control. We'll see if that gives us any additional grip, but I think our core issue is we have a hard time with the power level. Keep in mind, this was not designed for this sort of a rescue mission, right? So if we want to make our way up, we're probably going to need to switch back this. And that's going to be real interesting. Because of the shape of this hill. I'm looking at the shape of the hill here, and I'm thinking, we've got a high point here, we've got a high point here, we've got a high point here. That's going to be interesting to get to. No doubt about that. So I feel like what we need to do is we need to take the approach of being back out over this way. And then we just need to drive back in the same angling that we initially came in on, just at a lower speed and with better brakes. So we're currently just backing up here, and keep in mind the front of our vehicle is here. As we burn more fuel here, our center of mass goes down. Another thing that we could do is we could just sit here and mine up these holding tanks worth of ore. But that'll make going up hills harder for us. So for now, I think we need to just change our angle of attack here. I think this is still a very valid way to go about it. All we need to do is just get in there. That's the goal here. So, the question is this far enough into the side of the hill? So let's start turning ourselves out over this direction. I see we're immediately losing speed. And quite a lot of it. Okay. This is interesting. So we definitely need to back off a little further here. I think that's very, very clear. I also think we might want to turn our traction control back down here, because you can see that increases our motor amount. So if we turn our traction control down to 0, let's see what that does. Is it a traction issue or is it a motor strength issue? I suspect it's the latter. So let's move this down. And we'll see what that motor wants to do, now that we're actually, hopefully, able to use the motor. Okay, so we're slowing down a little bit, but you can see just how rapidly our electric charge is dropping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start turning us up over this direction. And that immediately brings us to a bit of a halt, but now we're going to turn. Yeah, we just can't go up this now. This is basically the exact angle that we came in at previously, I think, although we might have been a little further over this way. But we are able to turn slightly. Very slightly. If we didn't have the mass of the sky crane, I think this would be a lot more viable. Hang on, we're moving forward. Okay. The electric charge is, of course, a problem. And it's a significant one, because we're going to run out of electric charge pretty quickly. We're going to have to stop to recharge our batteries. And it's probably going to come at the absolute worst possible time, because we need to build up momentum. But we'll see. Our electric charge consumption has actually dropped somewhat, so that's good. And of course, I'm not sure which direction this is set up to go. This might be fighting against these. So that's going to be interesting too. We'll probably use this as in a pusher configuration and then just turn off the motor in these is probably what we'll end up doing. So you can see we're slowing down a little bit here. We've still got some electric charge. And once we have this docked up, we're going to be in a much, much better position. I'm going to give us a little bit of a weight boost here. I don't mind burning off a significant amount of this fuel. Okay. We're out of electric charge. Brakes are on. We're going to have to come at this next episode. I'll let this recharge, and we will be back when it's done. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Dark Horse, Ethan Feldman, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, Rornaz, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.